Hello, I'm Mr Hobbs. I'm one of the film studies teachers here in South Hundsey Sixth Form, and obviously I'm going to talk to you today about the A-level course that we run in film studies. Film studies A-level is, I think, a fascinating way to find out more about the world that we live in and the way it's been represented by filmmakers through history. It's also by far the best way to gain a deeper understanding about film from an academic and also creative level as well. We study a full range of films on the course, so there'll be some films that you study that you'll be very familiar with, and some movements and genres that you'll be familiar with, but there'll also be quite a few that perhaps you've never heard of or never really engaged with before. So just to give you an idea of that, we study some films that are quite well known, such as La La Land, Shaun of the Dead, but all the way through to some sort of more unusual films. So for example, French films of the 1960s, for example, Vivre sa vie, or some classic films like Casablanca, and also some lesser known films from independent Hollywood, such as Winter's Bone. In terms of what film studies is, I would always describe it as having the closest links really, I suppose, to English literature, except that in film studies, rather than studying the written word and language, instead you're studying the moving image and you're studying sound. In film studies, what we're really looking at is the way that films have been constructed and the way that they represent the world at the time that they were made. So we'll be considering films from a theoretical perspective. We'll think about how films were put together by the people that made them. We'll think about how the audiences that watched the films at the time and today also deconstruct and understand those films, and we'll look at really what film can say to us about the world that we live in from different perspectives. As I've said, there's a whole range of films that we study via a range of set products. And it genuinely will introduce you to a whole load of films that you would never have thought of studying before. It's not a subject for you if you just want to sit back and eat popcorn whilst you watch films. That's not what we do in film studies. What we'll do is push your understanding of film, push your analytical abilities in film, and push you to engage with films and ideas that you haven't really thought about doing before. So if you've never watched a silent film, you will be watching silent cinema in film studies. If you've never watched a foreign language film, you will watch a foreign language film or two in film studies. But also that is that chance for you to get a better understanding of the types of films perhaps that you are more familiar with, those sort of slightly more mainstream Hollywood productions as well. Quite importantly within film studies, there is also a practical element. So we will engage with screenwriting, so you'll get a chance to create a script and a storyboard for your own short film. And then the rest of the assessment is done via two quite extensive exam papers. In terms of where film studies can take you, film studies in terms of further study, obviously you can continue your studies into film at university either via a theoretical approach or a practical approach or a mixture of the two. Film studies in terms of other courses at universities that is very useful for, obviously further study of English literature, politics, history, any of the creative courses at universities such as photography, and then careers-wise in the future as well. Again, film studies can take you into the film industries, which is a really growing industry within the United Kingdom, but also again off into areas like journalism, into any of the creative industries, or again in any kind of area where you need to be thinking about writing and analysing in terms of your thought processes. You might be considering as well the media studies course, which sits alongside the film studies course in terms of the department. There are some key differences just to be aware of. Film studies is the only course out of the two where you get to study film from a creative and in-depth perspective. On media studies, you will only study film from an industry perspective. So if film is what you want to study in depth, then film studies definitely is the course for you. If you're looking for a wider range of media products, then media studies might be the course for you. But again, we also have a number of students every year who study both film studies and also media studies. Film studies at A-level sits really nicely alongside courses like English literature, like politics, like photography, sociology. There's some really good connections there. I absolutely adore film studies. I think film is an amazing thing to get the chance to study, and certainly when I started looking at film when I was at university, it really did open my eyes to a really interesting area of the world, of the creative industries that I hadn't really thought about before, and it has totally changed the way that I understand and watch film, and I really hope it will do the same for you. So, any questions about that, obviously please do make some time to come and speak to me or any other of the teachers within the media and film studies departments. Really hope that film studies is a course that you consider studying. studying, and if you do so, then we really look forward to meeting you and teaching you film studies as a subject in the next academic year.